Hey all, Bree from the No Guilt Mom podcast, and I have got a gift for you this holiday season. If you love the No Guilt Mom podcast, and I mean love the No Guilt Mom podcast, then tell us about it. Leave us a review, and you can be entered to win a No Guilt Mom gift card. All you have to do is leave a review, take a screenshot, and then simply go to noguiltmom.com/review to enter our giveaway for a free No Guilt Mom gift card, simply for telling us what you think about the podcast. It is amazing. But don't delay. Get right on this, as we're going to be giving away that No Guilt Mom gift card on December 21st. So get right on over and visit noguiltmom.com/review.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I'm your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by the lovely Bree Tucker.
Why, hello, everybody. How are you?
Yeah. We today have a great episode for you because we're taking something that, admittedly, I find incredibly dull, boring, and stupid. Let's just be honest here, Bree.
Money, it's not a fun topic for me unless you're giving it to me free of everything. Just here you go, get a gift.
Yeah, but it runs our entire world because money is one of those things, like, we cannot deny it exists because it's not a greedy standpoint we're looking at money from. It's a freedom standpoint. When we get total control over our money, we have control over our lives, really.
Yeah. The whole time you're talking, I just keep hearing in my head, like, money make the world go round. Money makes the world go round.
It does. So we have Allison Baggerly on today. She's the founder of Inspired Budget and author of the book Money Made Easy. She helps women break free from paycheck to paycheck cycle through budgeting, which she changed my mind about, Bree. She has 2 kids, ages 11 and 9, and she currently resides in Texas. And while you're listening, listen for Allison's game-changing way to handle unexpected expenses with just a Post-it note. And so we hope you enjoy our episode with Allison. You want mom life to be easier. That's our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible and making our lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. Welcome, Allison, to the podcast. I'm so excited to talk all things money by someone who is not petrified by it, who has gone through all of the mistakes and the trials and challenges. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Let's get into it because I love that you used to be a teacher, because I also used to be a teacher. And I find that a lot of people who get into this entrepreneurial world of wanting to help people are former teachers.
Yes, which is a wonderful thing. And then also not, because we still need good teachers. So we can't have everyone leaving. But yeah, I used to be a teacher for 10 years and my husband is actually still a teacher. So I figure we have one teacher in the family, so we're good.
Yeah, it's like your public service. That's how I described it with mine. It was my public service. When my husband was bringing in the income, I was doing good in the world. And we're still doing good in the world in this respect as well. I want to dig into your story because you have a fantastic one of how you and your husband paid off over $111,000 in debt. How did you not so much do this, but how did you get the courage and where did you find the steps to do this?
So I wish I could sit here and say, one day I sat down and I decided I want this for myself because I love myself enough to change my habits. But that would be a lie. Actually, I'm just going to come out with the truth. My husband and I got married. I was 24 years old when we got married. And we got pregnant when I was 24 and we had a baby all at the age of 24. So we got unexpectedly pregnant on our honeymoon. When we come back from our honeymoon and we realize we cannot afford daycare when daycare comes. Mm-hmm. So not only are we pregnant and we have increased medical bills and I need to buy new clothes, all those things, whenever it's time to put the baby in daycare, we couldn't afford it. And we certainly couldn't afford me to leave my job and stay home. So we were like, oh, like, why are we struggling with this? Let's look at our money and let's total up our debt. And that was the first time my husband and I ever had a conversation about money, which I do not recommend waiting until you are married and with child to have a financial conversation, but that's our truth. And so we sat down. I remember we were in this small apartment and we were sitting at this old hand-me-down kitchen table, and we had these mismatched IKEA chairs, and we started listing out, going through together our debts and what we were combined. And that's when we realized, oh my gosh, we had $111,000 of debt on 2 teacher salaries. Our minimum monthly payments, not including our mortgage that we ended up taking on a year later, our minimum monthly payments were $1,400 a month.
Oh my God.
Which was almost half of my salary as a teacher. And it was in that moment that we were like, okay, here's the plan. We are going to figure out where our money is going, what we're spending it on, and we are going to try to free up $900 in monthly payments a month, or just free up $900 because that's how much we figured daycare was going to cost back in 2012. And so we said, we just need to be able to free this money up before the baby needs to go to daycare. And we're going to do that by paying off debt so we no longer have those minimum balances. So it did not happen in 9 months. It took us 4.5 years to pay off that amount of money because we weren't making a fortune.
But that's realistic. And I love that you're upfront about that, because a lot of people see these plans that, pay off your debt, and you set these unrealistic expectations of how fast you should be able to do it. And then all the shame comes on you that you're not able to do it so fast. So thank you for sharing that. It took time. It took 4.5 years to do because you were on a teacher salary.
It took time. It took stopping and starting and wanting to give up and more pep talks. We ended up having another baby on the way, or ended up growing our family. We had another baby. So then we had 2 kids in daycare, and that's going to impact your money and how much money you can send to debt. And it was a process, but it was so worth it.
So worth it. Yeah. And I need to put a little focus too on working from teacher salaries. Because there's like a give and take here when we talk about budgeting. Budgeting isn't just about how much less you can spend, but I think you also have to look at how can I make more money coming in? Did you guys ever have those discussions about how can we supplement this?
Absolutely, we did. That took us a little bit longer to have those conversations because our first thing, because when we sat down to do this is a lot of information.
Oh yeah.
On 2 20-somethings who don't know anything about money and budgeting. I didn't even know what a budget was. I thought a budget was like a punishment. I was like, oh, I have to be on a budget. What did I do wrong? How did
Can
I
we
end
just
up
raise
in
our
this?
hands for that one who thinks a budget is like a punishment?
Yes,
if you're
I do.
listening right now. Yes, me too.
And that's the thing is I used to think that, Joanne. I used to think that a budget meant I was bad with money or dumb or stupid, or I had these skeletons in my closet. And I just said, okay, well, I own it. I own that I messed up. I own that I took out all this debt, but we're going to move forward with a budget because this is what I have to do. And I went into it with that mindset. But then over time, it was so incredible to see how I looked forward to actually writing a budget. And something you need to know about me is I love spending money. I get a high from it. Like I enjoy
the dopamine.
It.
Yes.
Yes. I get that dopamine hit. I'm like, oh, got this happiness feeling in my heart.
Put down the credit card when you get a business credit card too, and it's metal and you're just like, boom.
Boom. Exactly. And I had that personality. I had that drawn. I still feel that way at times. But the thing is writing a budget, I started looking forward to it because I realized that for the first time in my life ever, I had peace of mind with my money. And I almost became addicted to that feeling. I was like, wait a minute, a budget can give me peace of mind. It can give me confidence. It can give me security. And so I stopped seeing my budget as this consequence and this plan for fixing all of my past mistakes. And instead I was like, I like this. I want more of it.
That is a great mindset shift, becoming addicted to budgeting instead of becoming addicted to spending. And you mentioned it was just something that happened organically too.
And really, it's not even addicted to budgeting as it is. I loved the feeling I loved the peace of mind, being able to know, hey, if I get a flat tire and I need to get a new tire or pay to have, I don't know, something else that can go wrong on my car go wrong. If I have to fix that, it's going to be okay. I don't have this looming fear of, I don't even know if I have the money to cover that. I know if I have the money or not, or I know I have money in savings. And so it was that sense of control that I had never had before, ever, with my money. The sense of control that maybe I didn't see my parents have. And I saw my budget as that ticket, as that key, as that thing that led to the control.
So it's not so much this constraining aspect, it's this opening up. And I could really identify with that sense of fear because I did not initially get the dopamine hits from spending money. It was all fear. I didn't want to spend anything at all because I'm like, what if I need it later? What if something happens? And I wonder with you, Allison, like you say, if something came up, you'd be able to spend it on, you have the money to spend. But what about like things that you just want, like things you want? Did it change that for you in any way, knowing that you can get it and not worry?
So kind of, I'm going to say that I am still a very much an impulsive person, especially when it comes to spending. I'm an impulsive shopper and impulsive spender. So it helped me rein in. I had to learn over years. I mean, it's been 12 years since this whole journey started. I have figured out what I need as a person to kind of rein in some of those impulsive purchases and also figure out what I want and asking myself, do I really want it? Because for so long, I just saw things. I was like, I want that. I want this. I want that. I want this. And after time, I ended up with all this crap that I didn't actually want because I couldn't differentiate between what I want and what looks pretty and what I value and what I should be prioritizing.
So are we talking about like how when we go to Target or wherever and we come in and we need 3 things on our list and we come out with $250 and you're like, but I got this new lamp and I got these new pillows and
and you're singing Ariana Grande and you're like, I see it. I want it.
Exactly. I actually used to have a rule where, and I'm not as, I used to call Target the motherland. And I had a rule that I could never get a basket in Target, that anything I went in, I had to hold it. I had to physically hold it in my hands. And if it couldn't fit in my hands, I couldn't take it with me.
Oh my gosh.
So I would be getting these things and I'd be holding all these awkward things. Like I'd get a box of diapers and then I'd put stuff on top of the box.
Oh my God.
Exactly. Because so often we just get what we want in life and we have this instant gratification, this instant satisfaction with getting, and it doesn't allow us to stop and think, well, what do I really want? And what am I willing to trade off? What am I giving up for being able to get that thing or that item?
And I can see how budgets can help you do that. And I want to hear your tips on how to create that budget to get some more control in your life right after we take this break. We're hitting that time of year where my brain gets so overloaded in December that I look for anything to make life easier. And I have to say, Brie, that Green Chef is one of those services.
Yes. Green Chef is there to take away the dreaded, oh my goodness, what are we going to eat for dinner tonight? You can eat clean all holiday long with over 80 weekly meal options each week, featuring things like quick and easy, protein-packed, calorie-smart, or my personal favorite, the keto options.
And you don't have to lose track of healthy eating habits during the holidays because every Green Chef customer gets a free session with one of their registered dietitians who can walk you through how to make clean eating work for you, which is very cool.
And I have to say that I have been loving their recipes lately. They put things together I have never thought of. This week, we're trying the lemon basil caper pork with sauteed cauliflower, bell peppers, almonds, and feta cheese, my favorite. Their recipes make it so easy to support my wellness goals without skipping on flavor.
For Green Chef's best deal of the year, get $250 off with code NGM250 at greenchef.com/NGM250. That's greenchef.com/NGM250. And don't forget to use that code NGM250 to get $250 off.
Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. It is so hard to raise kids who know how to manage money. Bree, right now, my kids are all about earning money for presents. My daughter wants to get presents for all of her friends, and my son is doing a Secret Santa with his friends.
Oh, I hear you. And if you're looking to raise kids that are financially responsible, we have got a lifesaver recommendation for you that you need to check out. It is Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app made for families that gives kids and teens an easy and fun way to gain financial literacy, all while giving parents peace of mind.
You can send instant money transfers, automate allowance, and even keep an eye on kids' spending with real-time notifications. Meanwhile, your kids can begin their journey towards financial autonomy by learning how to save, invest, and spend wisely.
So sign up for Greenlight today and get your first month free when you go to greenlight.com/NGM.
That's greenlight.com/NGM to try Greenlight for free. Greenlight.com/NGM. So Allison, I love all of this benefit that you could get from having a budget. Like, it's turned in my mind that it's not a punishment. It's actually something that can help you. So what is one of the first steps people should take when they're starting to create their own budget?
Of course. So I recommend the very first thing you do is you actually know when your money comes in and when it goes out. So often I work with people that we say, okay, we're going to write a budget. It's going to start on December 1st and end on December 31st. And that's how I originally thought budgeting should work. However, I was never paid on the 1st. So I was starting a budget in the middle of my paycheck cycle and ending it also in the middle of my paycheck cycle. So instead, what I recommend is getting a calendar. And I have so many examples of this on my Instagram, but I just have a calendar and I write down our paydays first. So I get paid once a month. My husband gets paid twice a month. And then I write down all of our bills. So it allows me to visually see. I'm a visual person. I like to see. I give my paycheck a job. What bills is that paycheck's job to cover? And that allows me to visually see, just for the most important things, just for our living expenses, which paycheck is going to cover which bills. And then I take that period of time and I write a budget for just that period of time. Maybe it's 2 weeks. And that's exactly what you should be doing, is budgeting per paycheck, or budgeting by paycheck. And this allows you to create this almost this open and closed door timetable, if you will, that makes sense. It starts on the day you were paid and it ends the day before you get paid again. And all of your bills go in that. And then also any of your variable expenses like groceries, restaurants, gas for your cars, expenses for your children.
Yeah.
And we find a way to make sure that we're not spending more money than we have coming in.
That is a really great tip. And I love what you say about giving your paycheck a job, because if you don't give it a job, it's just going to do what it wants and go to Target, the motherland.
Yes, the motherland. Or it's going to go to who knows where. I mean, there are times even today that if I don't save right away, I will spend the money.
Oh, yeah.
I am my own worst enemy. If money is in my checking account, it's fair game.
Yeah.
If I want to prioritize saving money or paying off debt or whatever it is that your listener wants to prioritize, you have to give your paycheck that job and have it actually follow through on that job before we get the best of ourselves and go spend it on who knows what.
Oh, yeah. First thing I do when I get my paycheck is I have to put like some of it in savings, because I live off of that. What do I have in my account? And if it's there, it's cool. My kryptonite is stopping to get something to eat or to get drinks. Like, it's the little stuff. And it's funny how that stuff adds up, right, guys? You just talk about even like Target. It's the little things. I have no problem spending anything under $50 on something on a whim. But that adds up.
Bree, can I give you a little tip for that specific problem?
Yeah.
So what I highly recommend you do is open up a separate checking account. Maybe it's just an Ally account. You can get them for free online. You transfer money over into that account, and that is your whatever the heck I want card. That is your debit card that you spend on those types of things. And it doesn't allow you to overdraft. Right? We want something that's not going to charge you overdraft fees, something that's not going to have any sort of minimum fees. And it just allows you to separate out that feeling of, I just want to spend on whatever it is at that moment. And when you're done, you're done. When you're out of money, you're out of money. And that's your signal, literally, right? Your signal that, hey, I've spent the amount of money that I've budgeted for myself. So the rest of the money in my checking account, that goes to things like groceries and gas. And my kid has to go to a birthday party and I need to buy the kid a birthday gift. That's no longer Bree's coffee money and grabbing something, whatever she wants it money.
Yeah. Okay, that idea is phenomenal because with me, like I go the other extent where I just have all of this guilt on me for spending money that I will deny myself those things that make me happy, like stopping for a coffee because I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't spend that right now. But having a set aside, do whatever you want, that is powerful right there.
Yes. And you can let it add up. Some people like to do this in cash. I used to do this in cash, but we're living in this cashless world. So why not just get a whole separate debit card that you transfer money over to? Because then there's that physical boundary, right? Boundaries are good, especially with our money. We need them. Yet so often it's really hard to set a boundary when you're having all of these expenses coming out of one account. And then all of a sudden you go back and look at it and it's like, well, I crossed the line. I broke my boundary, but I didn't realize it. This allows you to see that boundary very clear and realize it. And that's all what budgeting is. It's creating boundaries that match up with your goals and your values. So if your value is to go get yourself a Starbucks latte every single day, you can put it in your budget. It doesn't mean you're bad or a shopaholic or you spend too much money on coffee so you'll never be able to afford a home. It doesn't mean any of that. We just need to make sure that your budget lines up with your goals and your values and that you're not going into debt.
Yes. Okay. I love this. And this actually makes me really excited because it solves like some problems that I have with spending money. Like I say guilt, but like the things that I actually value is education. And so I will spend money on all the courses and all the books and I'll be like, nope, this will help. Nope, this will help. This will help right here too. And so I do all those things. So Allison, I want to know when you're raising kids, you have these unexpected expenses that come up that may drain your bank account. And I want to know your strategy for dealing with that right after this break.
Hey, all, Bree here, and I wanted to share one of my favorite gifts to give during the holiday season, a Storyworth book. It is the most amazing gift ever. Storyworth is an online service that lets you create a special and unique gift of someone's story. I've given Storyworth books to both of my parents, and it has been their favorite gift, hands down. And did I mention it is so easy? Storyworth emailed my parents questions every week that I handpicked from their massive list of questions that they have. All my parents had to do was open their email and answer them. That easy. I asked my dad questions like, did you have any rules that you set for yourself as a parent, which you immediately broke? And he did. I even asked both of my parents, are you more like your mom or your dad? And they shared a lot of really amazing qualities that I didn't know about my grandparents at the time. Then at the end of the year, Storyworth compiles all of their answers, puts them into this gorgeous book that covers everything. My parents love showing us their books, and I personally love getting a chance to read them. With Storyworth, I am giving those I love a thoughtful and personal gift from the heart that preserves their memories and stories for years to come. Go to storyworth.com/NGM and save $10 on your first purchase. That's storyworth.com/NGM to save $10 on your first purchase.
My son is playing a game right now on his computer where he's a thief and the cops are after him. So I'm so excited about this new app, Give As We Grow, where instead of being the quote unquote bad guys, kids are practicing giving back.
That is so cool, Joanne. I really wish that there was something like this when my kids were younger that got them excited about giving back to others and helped them build a better understanding of what it really means to volunteer.
Give As We Grow is the first of its kind free educational mobile app for children ages 8 to 11 that teaches kids via fun, service-focused minigame quests to tap into their unique talents and interests to help others.
And did you know that studies show that there is a biological connection between generosity and happiness, and that volunteering improves people's physical and mental health? I mean, kids who volunteer typically do better in school and are less likely to engage in risky behaviors. And that is something that I think we all want for our kids.
Ready to spark a new movement in generosity? Find and download Give As We Grow for free in the App Store for Android and iOS. And for resources for the whole family, visit giveaswegrow.org. So as a parent, taking care of kids. They're totally unpredictable. What do you do when kids' expenses come in and they break your budget?
Oh, I blame them. No, I'm kidding.
It's all their fault, those kids.
It's all their fault.
Yes.
I charge them rent.
Yeah.
No, that is so hard. I think that I am very much a type A person. I like being able to know exactly what's going to come out, what's going to come in. So when something catches me off guard, whether it's an unexpected trip to the urgent care and my insurance is awful and now I have $100 that I have to spend there, or it's new shoes because I didn't realize that my kid was growing way too fast and now his shoes are all small and shoes are ridiculously expensive.
Or your son's band decides they're going to go to Disneyland this year and all of a sudden you have to pay $2,500 in 5 months.
That's a big one.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one. Or you find out that, hey, your son needs a surgery in the next 5 months.
Yes.
Yeah, this happened to us and it's going to cost $5,000 and it has to be done or else it's going to impact him for the rest of his life. So whether it's small or whether it's large, these things are going to happen. And so my thought is instead of saying, well, I have all of these unexpected expenses that come up, I might as well not budget. It's not going to work for me. No one can make this work. I'm never going to get it 100% right. I do two things. The first thing I do is I expect the unexpected. And while I may not expect the $5,000 medical expense or the $2,500 Disney unexpected Disney vacation that not even the entire family gets to go on, I can expect some of those smaller purchases, some of those things that come up whenever I'm going to unpack my kids' clothes for the winter and realize none of the jackets fit. Now we have to get jackets. And so what I do is I keep a buffer in my budget. So every single time I write a budget, I put in a buffer. This is my catch-all. This is the perfect kid catch-all. So what it is, it's the line item in my budget. Just like I would put Netflix on my budget, I write the word buffer and I will leave about $100 to a $200 buffer every paycheck. So that way, when my son does need new shoes or we do have to pay for a field trip, my buffer can catch that unexpected expense because I'm not going to be able to have the foresight to see every single thing, nor do I really want to have to do that. Sounds like a lot of work. So when it comes to that, I always add a buffer in my budget. The second thing I do is I have something, it's my secret weapon.
Ooh,
and it is,
I like secrets.
I know. And it is the mini budget. And this is perfect whenever an unexpected expense hits and it throws you off.
Okay.
And you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. I might as well just crumple my budget up, throw it away, and I'm going to start over next week whenever I get paid. And when that happens to me, all bets are off. I'll go on a spending spree.
I was going to say that will throw me into an emotional, okay, I got to go spend some money so that I feel better about this. Why?
Do you know why? It's
No.
because you feel like you have lost a sense of control over your money and you are searching for control. And so we find control by spending. That gives us this false sense of control. So instead of turning to that and having this false sense of control that only we end up having this spending hangover, right, that we have to deal with afterwards.
The next day, you're like, oh God.
Yes.
Can I
right?
return
We're doing the walk of shame to our app, to our bank app. Exactly. With the walk of shame to return whatever we bought. Instead of doing that, I say, okay, I feel like my feet have been pulled out against me. The rug has been pulled out from under me. I'm not really sure what's going on. I got hit with this unexpected expense or something happened. I'm going to create a mini budget. And what I do is I throw away my old budget and I will literally get like a sticky note and I will write down how much money do I have in my checking account right now at this moment? And what are all of my necessary expenses until payday? And I say, what do I have to have? And I give myself a really small, miniature budget to give me back that sense of control instead of seeking it out in something that's just going to hurt me or my family or have that sense of frustration or shame later on. I take back that control in the form of a mini budget and I will stick that sucker on the fridge. And when my kids say, can we get this? I'll say, oh, look at the mini budget. It's not listed there. Maybe next month. Maybe we can add that item in next month. But this right here is what we have left until we get paid again on Friday.
That's a great thing to teach kids too. And I also love like the taking of control through sticky note, because that is really what we're seeking when that happens. And it could be why we're rebels too. It's like we want the control back for ourselves, and we don't want people to tell us what to do.
Absolutely.
I love that. And you've given me so much to think about and turned my world around about budgets, because you're right. At the beginning, I did think it was a punishment, and I can see
That's okay.
that's okay.
That's
like,
why
that's
I'm
okay.
here. That's why I'm here.
Exactly. So what is coming up right now for you, Allison, that you are excited about?
Well, I'm excited about my free budget class. I have a free budget class where I share my 4-step framework to budgeting your way to wealth and paying off debt. And then I also have a really big class at the beginning of every year. So I'm already gearing up for that, and I cannot wait because it allows me to just be in my favorite spot, which is teaching. So if your listeners want to check out the free budget class, I know you'll probably leave a link in the show notes for that. That's like that on demand, get access to it right now. And I also give away a freebie at the end of the class for anyone who stays through the end.
Ooh, that's awesome. And we will definitely have a link in the show notes. So go to our show notes and click on Allison's class and go and register. And Allison, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So we were just talking about money this morning, Brie, and like how much money our kids cost us with all the unexpected school expenses. So I think this interview came at such a good time for both of us.
Oh my gosh, yes. It was funny because like you just had to pay for a Disney trip, and I talk about that in the episode, how I had to deal with an unexpected Disney band trip, and it's those unexpected things that pop up that make it feel like I'm constantly running up a hill of sand, and I'm never making any progress.
It's true. And it's especially aggravating because they're not even Disney trips for us.
I know. And I love them.
Disney.
Right.
They're
and
great.
I love my kids, and I want to get them everything so they can be happy. But my bank account just goes, really? As I saw a meme the other day, it was like, I want to travel more. My bank account goes like, where? To the park?
No, I agree. And something that I don't think we talk enough about in society is the actual like numbers involved with things, because we kind of gloss over money. Do you feel like you do that? I'm like, oh, it's so much money and I paid a large amount, but I will not say publicly what large amount I paid, because number one, I don't want to seem ungrateful. And number two, I think it's all in us that it's not okay to talk about money, when really money has such an influence on all of our lives that if we really knew what other people were spending, what things cost, what other people were making, I think it would give us so much power as women.
I think it would too. I mean, I think that you just hit a good point there. Like when it comes to money, let me kind of back this up even a little bit more. Like Allison talked about how she felt like budget was a punishment. And that's how I feel too. I feel like if I'm being put on a budget, then I must have messed something up. I also know, though, on the flip side, that it's a responsible thing to do, and that, you should be doing a budget to be more aware of things. But like you said, it kind of like with society, it's all about keeping up with the Joneses. We want to be able to keep up with what other people are doing. If you see other people doing it, you think you should be able to. But there's so many more fine pieces that we don't talk about, that we just assume that we're doing it wrong if we can't keep up with everybody else. And that's not true.
So something really interesting that I learned about money in particular is this whole paying large amounts for things, because I've been taught like, oh, that's a waste of money. Why would you pay so much for that? Why would you pay so much for that? And I didn't realize the psychology that goes into it when you invest in something for yourself. So of course, we talk about things that we think are expensive that other people are like, no, that's too expensive. It actually changes what you do in your life when you have that much on the line. Like it's putting skin in the game. When you put skin in the game, you actually work towards it. So that's why I think conversations like this are so important to have, because there's that missing piece in our culture, especially among women, that we should not spend money on ourselves and we should not invest in ourselves.
Oh, yeah. The mom math that like if we spend anything on ourselves, it's selfish.
Yeah. So here's the thing I'm tying it back to, because you said something like, I must be doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And I think the point that gets missed is that a lot of times when you invest in yourself, say, and I'm going to make this really, really concrete, and I'm going to give numbers, and you know the number I'm going to give because I gave it to our balance group the other day about the mistake. The thing I like to spend money on is education. I love education. I love courses. I love learning how to do things, but this education tends to be really expensive. And people who are not in like the online entrepreneurship world don't know how expensive this education is. So I'm going to tell you, this coaching program that I just signed up for No Guilt Mom, it is $25,000 a year. 25,000. And you might hear that and be like, oh my gosh, Joanne, you are insane. Who would spend that amount of money on something? Insane.
You're like, but, here, over here.
But what you get from that is, first of all, we didn't have the money right away. And there's a whole backstory about how we learned what minimum payments on the credit card really mean. I could go into that another time. But that 25,000, it's not so much about the education. It's great information. It's great education. It's about the motivation that it puts behind you. Like knowing that we spent that much money, my work drive has increased from this just minimum level to I'm giving like 150% in knowing and actually implementing all of the things I'm learning because we put that much on the line for this. So it changes your behavior when you use money in this way. Having that much money on the line is like, puts that little fear in me being like, I better make this worth it. And you put in the work. And that's how you get the results. And that's how you get more money. And I think that that conversation gets missed a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, there's a lot of financial education that we are just not taught. Like I remember back when I was in high school, I was taught how to balance a checkbook, and that was as much. I think we might have done like in that particular class I took, that was basically like life skills, which I don't even know if they still offer in high school. But it taught you how to make a budget, but a very slim, it didn't give very many details. So I have always struggled with this. And one thing Allison said, and I was so excited about it, as soon as we were done recording, I went and told Miguel when he got home, I'm like, I know, because we've been struggling with the whole budget thing lately. I'm like, okay, I know what we need to do. We need to give our paycheck a job. And when I would explain to him what Allison said in this episode about the whole like giving your paycheck a job, he goes, that makes so much sense, because we have been trying to do it from the 1st to the 31st with different paychecks coming in at different times, and neither of us really knowing what we're throwing into the joint checking necessarily. Yeah. So I'm very excited to try a lot of these things that Allison had. It's awesome. And I'm going to take her free course. I'm very excited for that.
Totally. Like her thing about giving your paycheck a job makes so much sense, because then you're not dealing with these imaginary things that you don't know what are happening. You're dealing with this stuff that, you know, is a set amount. What I find harder is when your income is variable, when it goes up and down and you don't exactly know like how much is coming in and how much is coming out. And that's why when you have to be like, okay, well, this much just came in, let's give that a job. And this much just came in, let's give that a job.
That is a whole nother ball game of planning. But I mean,
that's
so
a whole other ball game.
Basically what I'm hoping anybody walks away with from this episode is that, one, you're not necessarily doing anything wrong if you're struggling. Like the majority of us are struggling, and it was probably because we didn't have enough education to start off with. 2, you can learn at any given time, and putting that time, energy, effort, and money into yourself to learn is worth it. And 3, Allison knows she knows her she. Just go with Allison, man. Check out her stuff. She was amazing.
Check out her stuff. Yeah, she was amazing. So remember, the best mom is a happy mom. Take care of you. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks for stopping by. Are you looking for something to listen to with your whole family? Then check out 6 Minutes, produced and created by Gen Z Media. With over 200 twisty, cliffhanger-filled episodes, 6 Minutes tells the story of 11-year-old Holiday, who is pulled from the icy waters with no memory of who she is or where she came from.
3 years ago, Brinley Pasternak helped the Anders family uncover the truth about holidays past. Now she'll need them to help her find the truth about hers. In 6 Minutes Out of Time, the long-awaited sequel, Cyrus Anders is found unconscious near the mysterious Elixir Academy in Florida, and Brinley learns the school may have a shocking connection to her missing mother.
Dive in now and get the most downloaded family audio adventure in history. Follow 6 Minutes wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen early and ad-free with the GZM family subscription.